Hello, everyone, again. Have you ever regretted something in your life that you couldn't change? A decision you made in the past that no longer represents who you are? What about tattoos? Do you have one or know someone who does? For millions, tattoos goes from meaningful to unwanted reminders or impulsive decision, as it happens to my business partner and me. But we are not alone. My name is Francisca Tolmo, CEO of Tattoo, and 38% of the global population has at least one tattoo, and 28% of them regret it. Currently, the most common way to remove tattoos is laser. While effective, laser can cause several dermal conditions, and this highlights the need for a dependable and efficient tattoo removal alternative. At Tattoo, we are developing a topical formulation to remove black ink tattoos safely and effectively. Our innovation is based on nanoparticles, allowing for a non-invasive, painless, and scar-free removal process. This formulation will penetrate the dermis, where tattoo pigments are stored, and gradually break down the ink particles. Now, looking at the global tattoo removal market and focusing just on the black tattoo removal, we have a total addressable market of $5.6 billion, and we expect that with our current technology, we can capture the 20% of the sum. We aim to disrupt this market by introducing a breakthrough alternative to current solutions like laser, chemical crease, and surgical excisions. By eliminating the need for medical intervention, we position ourselves as a game changer in the industry. We will operate under a biotech innovation and licensing model by focusing on the developing and patenting of our technologies, and once validated in skin models, we will license to pharmaceutical companies so they can handle clinical trials, regulatory approval, and commercialization. And our revenue model is based on an upfront licensing fee per territory and annual fees during clinical trial and post-commercialization royalties. And this allows us to reduce the regulatory risk, to accelerate the market entry, and to reinvest in new biotech technologies. We started in 2022 as a university idea, and to date, we have raised $140,000 to work in the development of our MVP and the protection of our technologies. And for the next 2 years, we are seeking a $500,000 to secure a patent and to have the final product. All of this is possible because of our team, Brian Rojas and me. We both with an expertise in biotechnology, and we also have advisors that bring us scientific insight and a strategic partner in the pharmaceutical company. We don't want just to sell a product. We want to help millions to rewrite their story, because nothing is forever with Tattoo. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, and way to be nimble with that presentation. If I took off my jacket, you'd see that this product could be near and dear to my heart. I've literally sat in a tattoo chair and said, I'm getting something, perhaps I'm not going to like it for the rest of my life, but I hope technology, at some point, I'm going to bank on technology to be innovative, and something like this could be developed. What is the moat around your technology? As I think you mentioned that you don't have a patent yet, so I'm sure there's other entities that are working on this. So what moat or barrier do you have to protect your product before you get a patent?
Yeah, we did our research, and there is nothing like our technology to remove tattoos or that use our active ingredient to remove them. But now we are working on the writing of the first patent that we want to secure, that is about our delivery system. And then we will patent like the whole formulation to remove tattoos, because we want to use this technology to deliver other molecules for other dermal conditions.
Good morning, and great job adjusting as well. As far as the bottle that you were showing on there, how is that for a certain size tattoo? How long does it actually take for the removal to occur compared to traditional ways?
And for example, for this here, outside the cell and the body, it takes just 24 hours to degrade that amount of ink. But obviously, when we have a formulation and you apply it to the skin, we will lose a lot of it, and not everything will go into the cells. So that depends. We need to do more research, but we estimate, doing our research by the day, that for a tattoo like this little, we will need 1 to 2 months of treatment. But you will need to apply it daily too.
Hi, so 2 questions. The first is how this gets to the customer. So you're licensing to the pharma companies, and then do the pharma companies, you sell this to dermatologists, and does it get prescribed to patients, or is it over the counter? How does that work? And then the second question is pain. Is there any, like with a chemical peel, is there pain with doing this?
Yeah, we are not a chemical formulation. We work with biological therapy, so we want to help the immune system to degrade the ink, because our body is constantly trying to remove the ink, but they can't because of the ink is so big and of the compounds. So we want to do this without pain and without a scar, so it will be friendly with the skin. And to the other question, yeah, we want to focus on developing technologies and work in the laboratory, and then after patent to license to the pharmaceutical, because if we do it by ourselves, it will take too much time to have the structure and the regulatory things to sell a pharma. So, yeah.
And for the pharmaceutical company, is this something that gets prescribed to a patient through a dermatologist, or would you walk into a tattoo shop and buy this on the counter?
The idea is that they can buy it in the pharmacy, but not with a prescription. Thank you very much, and sorry for this.
All right, good morning. I'm Shruti Chaudhary. Today, I'm presenting you about SMART, and I'm going to show you how we are moving the needle to scalable and sustainable agriculture using nanofertilizers. My story with SMART began with my grandpa, who was also a farmer. And the biggest challenge which farmers all across the globe face is that 50 to 80% of those fertilizers are lost in the environment. That's a lot of money when they have to buy it, and they incur a lot of charges when it comes to storage and transportation and the amount of water that is involved. If we keep on going at the same rate, we won't be able to feed 9.3 billion people by 2030, because even though farmers are using more and more fertilizers, the yield is still the stagnant one. And that is where we bring you all the patented SMART technology. Both the process and the fertilizer is patented. What we make is 10,000 size smaller than the conventional fertilizers, and it's safe to use. The entire process is a single-step process to manufacture them. The way we increase the value for those farmers, because they have to use less amount of fertilizer, that also means less logistic charges, less amount of water, and they save time because they don't have to do the product preparation beforehand. And in turn, what they get is 80% increased yield in the crop yield, and also 50% more nutritional content into the crops. We have already validated this in the field in Illinois Farm Bureau, and we have shown that they only require 45 times less amount of fertilizers than conventional ones. And we have received the letter of support from the Illinois Farm Bureau, which is a network of 70,000 farmers. It's a big industry where we are covering for the fertilizers, but that industry is moving towards sustainability. Globally, 79% of the farmers want to move towards that position. The way we do it is through contract manufacturing and certified research organizations to test the efficacy of these fertilizers. And because we have direct contacts with some of the farm growers here in Florida and in Illinois, so we reach directly to them. We reach through Farm Bureau associations and through dealers for the mass adoption. Our projected growth is as shown over here, and we start making revenue the next year of the investment, and our gross margin is 75% as of now. When it comes to the sustainability and the nutrition uptake, Smart is a clear winner. We know how to make high value per acre. Oops. And we also know how to minimize the environmental release, which is a complete winner. Also, it covers the full spectrum for the nutrients that are required. Not all the crops do that. This would not be possible without the founding team, who has a combined 65 plus years of experience. Our funding ask for now is $2.1 million so that we can start scaling it up for sugarcane and tomato and start doing the registration for selling in Florida. With that, I ask you all to join Smart in its mission to create sustainable agriculture, scalable and viable for all. Thank you.
Good morning. Great job.
Good morning.
As far as what you wanted to start with, is it because it works better for that, or is it across all crops?
It's across all crops.
And then as far as the amount, do you have to use the same amount? Is it less of an amount?
So the amount depends on the soil quality. What we tested was in Illinois. We need to do the same test in Florida as well. We know that Florida soil requires a little bit more nutrients, but it is still going to be significantly less than what the conventional fertilizers are being used for.
Is there a cost savings to the farmer? What's the percentage cost savings?
So when I'm talking about percentage cost saving, it's in 4 different units. One, because they are buying way less. So when I'm giving you an example of Illinois, they are buying 100 pounds per acre. For our case, they have to buy 10 pounds per acre. That is one. Second one, because the operational charge, which is because they are getting less, that means storage and transportation costs are going to go significantly down. Third, the water usage. So currently in Florida, farmers use 4,000 gallons of water per acre. For our case, they can use 200 gallons per acre and still do that because they have to spray the fertilizer directly onto the crops. And then that was from the saving part, but then they start increasing the yield of the crops and also the nutritional quality. So they can offset from both the yield and the saving part, so that helps them significantly increase the return on index. Currently, it's 3:1, but we are aiming towards 5:1.
Incredible. I am so glad and honored that you're actually introducing this in Florida and right here in Miami Beach, because one of the issues that we face is protecting our most precious natural resource, that's Biscayne Bay. And where we see a lot of environmental damage is actually through fertilizer rolling off into the bay. So to be able to use less of that in a more sustainable fashion, I think is incredible. Can you talk about, is there any opportunity or market to have some of these NGO organizations essentially purchase this product for emerging markets where this could help facilitate future food growth and crop growth?
Yes, you raised a very good point about that. So currently, I am on the lookouts for NGOs. And there are 2 things that we need to talk to about NGOs. One is definitely when it comes to the helping farmers with the yield. But we know that not all the nations have high nutrition that they should get. And because we know that the food also increases the nutritional quality, the NGOs can focus working with us, both when it comes to saving the nations with the nutrition and also increasing the yield. So that's something, it's in our pipeline that we're looking forward to work on.
So amazing pitch, congratulations.
Thank you.
My question goes more into your differentiation, right? So you said 80%, you yield 80% more of your crops with that. Can you explain it a little bit more why that is?
Okay, so I mentioned something about that we make the size of the fertilizer, that's why I'm saying nano fertilizer, 10,000 times smaller than the conventional ones. When the size gets smaller, it's easier for the plants to take in those nutrients easily, because now you don't have to put more water for the mobilization of nutrients in the coarse ones. Here, the size of the particle is really small. They can take it easily. And when you're spraying it directly onto the crops, the stomata size is bigger than the size of the particles, so it readily takes off into the plants. So that's why it increases the yield and the efficiency.
You mentioned working with the Ag Extension Office in Illinois. Are you working with IFAS here in Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of what you're using, does it put the crop in a different category as far as organic or anything like that?
Okay. So I was expecting this question. So in our patent, we cover both the chemical and the organic ones. So when I say chemical, basically in those chemicals like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, these are something nutrients which all the crops needed, we also need it. So that's not the point. But then when it comes to how we derive those nutrients, so we know that especially in all the oceans, sargassum is a big issue. Sargassum also carries phosphorus and nitrogen into them. In our pipeline, we have the ideas to extract both of them from the natural sources. And another one is the waste that comes out from the fishing industry. They also have phosphorus and nitrogen from them. So it's a complete concept of circular economy. Even if there's a waste coming in, we can extract the useful amount and put it to the crops. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Mateo. This is my older brother, Tadeo, and together we founded Clave. Judges, it's gonna say Stuvie. That was our previous venture, which we exited 3 weeks ago. Clave is an AI-powered co-store operator that turns raw QSR franchise data into actionable insights for franchisees. And now I know what you're all thinking. Why are two handsome young men talking to me about quick service restaurants and their operational efficiency?
Well, we were literally born into our family franchise, Churromania, that has over 120 stores in 8 countries. And working through the ranks, we noticed that we were making a lot of store-level decisions, just kind of based off gut instinct and experience. And our franchisees said they had the same problem. And when we tried turning to the data, we realized the data was everywhere. But the important part is that the insights were nowhere. This is because analyzing store-level data is difficult, tedious, and inconclusive at best. When we asked a Dunkin' Donuts franchisee with 50 years of experience and 95 stores, they told us they still spend 15 hours a week on Excels trying to figure out their data, and they still have no idea what to do with it.
So meet Clave. Clave does real-time data analysis to provide franchisees with actionable insights using AI-driven technology. And this originally started as an internal tool for Churromania. But when speaking to franchisees outside of the system, we realized this was not a Churromania problem. We had multi-units at Dunkin' Donuts, Bonchon, Go Green, and so many more, managing over 570 stores that they wanted in on this thing we were building. And they're just the beginning. There's over 300,000 franchise units in the US alone, with 6,000 joining every single year.
When we talked to these franchisees, they told us they were ready to pay $200 per month per store for the basic version of Clave, with lots of them, of the 570 that we already talked to, already committed to being paying customers within the next weeks. That means with 450 units, we can have $1 million ARR. And then within the next 5 years, when we grow into verticalizing into our own POS systems, menu boards, and agentic AI, we'll be helping the managers at these stores train their staff and increase their sales live across 6,000 units, breaking 34 million ARR. Now, the beautiful thing about the franchise system is the franchise model itself, because it's basically a built-in network effect. You see, when Clave has more franchise data to work with, it gives better insights to the individual franchisees and therefore better performance for each store. If one store does well in the system, the whole system benefits, so it makes sense for franchisees to want other franchisees in the system to also be using Clave, and that's one of the ways that we can quickly grow.
So the current solutions are just not cutting it. They're blanket solutions, and they just present data in a bunch of different ways. But we take it a step further. No tool in the industry grabs all of that data and turns it into actionable insights for franchisees. So who's going to build it? You've heard from us, but we've actually been hiding something from you. Okay, our co-founder, Carlos, is here. He's a full stack developer, graduated from UE Bristol with a concentration in AI and machine learning. We sold our last venture together, so he's practically our third brother by now. Not to mention Valentina, a full stack at Amex. She's our unicorn, the oil that keeps this engine running. So yeah, we have a stacked team.
Yeah, it's safe to say that we have deep franchise experience. We have the team ready to build this product. We have a clear market need and a clear market want, but more importantly, the timing is perfect. All the big players are trying to get their foot in the door with AI. So we're here to give the eMerge community at large an opportunity to get a discount on the future of AI and future of franchising with Clave. So we opened our seed round with safes yesterday. We already have a committed investor. So if you're interested, come talk to us. And thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. One, can you just run us through actually how it works? I think conceptually I have it in my head. So somebody goes in, clicks the QR code, and then you're extracting some sort of data. But can you go through the specifics about how that process works, what you're actually getting out? And then two, I understand you need to start somewhere in the restaurant industry, but how scalable outside of that is this? I ran for elected office a year and a half ago, and I have the data of tens of thousands of constituents and residents, but I don't know how to use it. Tell me how Clave could work in a situation like that, or industries outside of the restaurant business.
100%. I guess we'll start there. We have similar data within each store. Each store is a completely new world. And we're looking at hundreds of Excels of data that as non-data analysts, like all of our franchisees, we have no idea what to do with it. So what Clave would do is amalgamate all of this data. We're talking POS systems, ERPs, inventory management, whatever it is, build basically a 360 understanding of what this store is doing in real time and tell the franchisee, hey, look, this is what the data's saying, but more importantly, this is what you need to do to impact it. An example could be the throughput time of a product. For example, at Churromania, we have different products that take longer or shorter times to make. When you have a line of people out the door, you want to get as many transactions in and maybe sacrifice some of your margin. In order to do that, we need to analyze what throughput time we can use in that moment to be able to get the best of both worlds, the most amount of transactions while managing our average ticket price. Sounds like a bunch of buzzwords. No franchisee is doing that in real time. They're trying to manage the experience. That's what we care about at Churromania, the experience of the customer. So how can we have them focus on that while we're just providing them with the solution in real time? Does that cover the question? Awesome.
Sure. So great pitch. What stage is in development per se? Because you said you have some LOIs, you have investors. What stage of actually the project is?
Yeah, so interestingly, we sold our last venture, Stuvie, 3 weeks ago. And so 2 weeks ago, we started working on Clave, and in those 2 weeks, we built an MVP that these 450 stores, or 570 stores, sorry, want to start working on. So we have that MVP, which is ready, and then next week, we're going to start implementing it across our stores in Churromania, but also different brands like the Dunkin' franchisee and the Go Green franchisee in Ecuador. So that's kind of the stage that we're at right now.
So you're selling your platform to the individual franchisees,
Correct.
which is an easier sell and has that network effect that you mentioned, easier sell than going to corporate. But wouldn't this also be something that the parent company itself, like a Dunkin' Donuts,
Of course.
could provide as a marketing tool to their franchisees?
Of course, yeah. That's another way we grow. There's 3 different network effects in a way. There's the franchisee to franchisee within a franchise system network, but there's also the franchisor, like kind of top-down way. If we go up to the franchisor, like for example, it's us as franchisors of Churromania, we can mandate that they use Clave in every single one of their stores, right? So if we can prove the impact at store level, but also at franchisor level to the franchisor, they can mandate to use this tool at all of their stores. And we could also go from multi-brand franchisee to multi-brand franchisee. So if we have a franchisee who has a Dunkin' Donuts store, but also an Auntie Anne's store, he's going to tell not only the people in Dunkin' Donuts, but also the franchisees at Auntie Anne's to use this tool. So it's this whole massive network effect, and not only does it help the stores, it also helps the other brands, because the more data, the better the insights, the better the performance for each store.
And that's something we've heard from interviews. Speaking to these people, they would love to be able to cross-reference their store performance to not only franchisees in their system, but in the future, similar brands, similar concepts within the same mall.
In that case of a franchisee who has both a Dunkin' and an Auntie Anne's, do either of those companies have privacy concerns with that data being shared with their competitor or with another food company?
Yeah. Obviously, we're not going to tell them, look, this franchisee is making this much money. These are our food costs. It's going to be more like a benchmarking. Like, look, you're doing 20% less than this other brand, for example. And of course, the data that we store is in a safe database. It's I'm pretty sure it's GAP certified, or I forget the exact certification, but it's in a safe database. It's basically encrypted. Like, we can't say that we can't read the data in a way, so the franchisee is never going to see that data anyway either.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Hello, guys. My name is Oriol Hyen, president and co-founder at Tidal, and today I'm going to be presenting to you the future of real estate. Now, Tidal was founded on the premise that we wanted to innovate the world of real estate. We fundamentally couldn't get our heads around the fact that a first-time home buyer has to spend $7,000 on a down payment for a mortgage, but simultaneously is responsible for $5,000 in closing fees and settlement costs. So what we created is the world's first automated land registry, a product that uses AI and blockchain in order to streamline and automate the entire process of title transfer. By doing so, we've eliminated the inefficiencies and reduced the excessive costs in the process. The title world is riddled with inefficiencies. You've got no universal book of record. For Miami-Dade alone, you have 5 different databases storing all this information in PDF format. It's completely antiquated. You have numerous middlemen who take excessive fees in the process, leading to high transaction costs and barriers of entry into the real estate market, leading to significant title fraud that's constantly on the rise in the US. Just for me to go into the US alone and to prove that I own a house that I'm trying to buy or sell, that takes 3 intermediaries, all taking significant transactional fees in the process, which leads to these costly delays, up to 7 days just to prove that I own my own house. So what we've created is 3 products. 1, the title report, an automated AI engine that produces title reports. It takes us 4 minutes to produce it. Our competitors take 7 days. Our title alert system uses the blockchain to secure this data and monitor it on an ongoing basis, making sure that we act as a source of truth. And third is we're using the blockchain to conduct title transfer. We have a patented process that essentially uses a proof of work protocol in order to sell a house from buyer to seller within a matter of moments. So our title market, we've opened up in the state of Florida in January, and the market in Florida alone is worth $2.2 billion to us a year. We've been selling to title companies, listing agents, mortgage lenders, and landlords. And to date, since January, we've closed $150,000 in enterprise contracts that are annual subscriptions. We've been selling title reports to title companies. We've been selling APIs to listing agents, and we've had very early success doing this since initiation. The benefit, it's pretty simple. We're way faster. We're producing title reports within 5 minutes. Our competitors are doing 5 to 7 days and selling this information at $700, and we're selling it for $299 at retail. And our accuracy rate, thanks to the power of AI, we're producing at a 99.5% accuracy rate. Even when you get a title report from an underwriter, you're getting this information at an 80% accuracy rate. It's kind of a spitball game. So the impact of title, we're cutting transactional costs and time. We're reducing the chances of title fraud because we're storing and centralizing this information. And we've created an automated centralized book of record using a blockchain. Today, we stand in front of you in the middle of our seed round. We've had investment from Expert Dojo and received significant grants from both Google and Polymesh to help us with our tech. To date, we have a live product. We've already expanded into Broward and Miami-Dade, and we plan to expand it to West Palm Beach. And our targeted revenue by the time we hit Series A is about $1 million in ARR. We already have paid enterprise clients, and we're expanding on a monthly basis. Today, I'm joined with my co-founder, Tori Ricalis, and myself, obviously. My background is I'm an ex-Goldman Sachs banker and a previous exited founder from a company called NFT Basel. I just graduated from my MBA at the University of Miami. And Tori is a real estate development expert, runs on the operational side, and has been an early thought leader in the blockchain space. And thank you for listening to us.
Thank you for the presentation. Anybody that is going through the home buying process sees from top to bottom, there's a clear need for disruption, but that's existed for years or decades, and it hasn't happened. So give me some insight as to why. Are there very strong special or competing interests that don't want to see innovation like this? There just seems to be these ingrained systems that are in place that are very, very hard to kind of overcome or scale above.
Yeah, so great question. There's a few reasons for it. A, people make money by sitting in the middle of the process, so they're hesitant to try to innovate it. B, the data is super fractionalized. Like I said at the beginning, for Miami, it's 5 to 6 different databases, and it's PDFs, and that's considered a digital database. So obviously, people are making money. They don't really want to do it. But when we came to them with this product and we said, we're doing it at literally 60% less than what you're currently charging, your margins are going to go through the roof. We designed it in a way we're not cutting them out. We're just servicing the service companies. So that was our way around it. We started as B2C, and that was an issue. It didn't work. The moment we went B2B, we had very quick adoption to it.
Hey, so great pitch.
Thank you.
Quick question. I want to understand a little bit more about the blockchain aspect of it. And how are you acquiring that data to begin with?
So we're acquiring so all this data is public. It's all in public repositories owned by different municipalities. So we've got an AI bot, goes into the database, finds the correct PDFs, reads them, and analyzes. Once we find the PDFs, some of them are accurate, some of them are not, but we essentially cross-reference and extract what we need. Once we take that data, a typical title company would either burn it or throw it into a cloud somewhere. We're storing it on a blockchain, and every folio number is represented by an NFT. So we've created essentially a land registry that's compiled the same way it should be, but on-chain and decentralized.
Are the transactions that your platform is used on mainly cash transactions? And if not, do banks have full confidence as lenders that you're producing a clean title?
So we're in conversations now. We basically shook hands with an underwriter where we would actually be the data provider to them. So they're going to be creating title commitments based on the data we're actually selling. Like our competitors are literally clerks. It's people going into these PDFs, reading and handwriting these documents or writing them into Word. Ours is a bot. We've trained it. It's spitting out information and like 99% accuracy. These guys, it's based on someone's resume and experience. If they're tired, they could screw it up. Cool. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jason Patel.
And I'm Josh Baum. Nearly every company here is based on AI, and AI is fueled by data centers. And these data centers are being built at an unprecedented rate.
But there's a huge problem. There aren't enough skilled workers to keep up. For every 10 electricians that retire, only 1 enters the trade. So how do we build faster with fewer workers? Well, we need to make that 1 electrician 10 times more efficient. And today, we're starting with conduit. Every building you've ever stepped foot in needs conduit, which is metal tubing that's used to protect electrical wires. The average data center uses 28 miles of conduit, yet 14 miles of it is still bent by hand. Each data center is losing $5 million because manually bending conduit is slow and electricians make many mistakes.
Introducing TubeBender B1. This is the first fully automatic on-site conduit bending machine. Now, instead of wasting time bending by hand, electricians can now bend on-site 16 times faster and cut material waste by 25%. Now, for a typical data center, that's actually 63,000 labor hours saved and 8 miles of conduit waste eliminated. That equates to the $5 million in savings. And right now, contractors only have 2 options for bending this conduit. There are manual on-site benders which are portable, but these things are slow. They take over 8 minutes per bend and waste that 25%. And the only other options are automatic off-site benders. And these are fast, but they cost over $750,000 and are over 15 feet long. Now, we are the best of both worlds. We take the portability of the on-site benders and combine it with the speed and automation of the off-site at a fraction of the cost.
Global electrical contractors make up an $80 billion market, We're targeting electrical contractors that build data centers, a $1.4 billion segment. Our machine pays for itself in under 2 years for these types of companies.
And we have done extensive market research and have won over $20,000 in grants to prove it. Now, we've built out a functioning prototype, and after just 6 demos, we got 6 letters of intent from major electrical contractors in the US. And this summer, we are filing 2 patent applications. Now, to go to market, we will continue to do direct outreach as well as attend electrical trade shows this summer with live demos. We'll have an interactive setup where electricians can race against our machine using a manual bender, and we'll have prizes and cold beer and a good time. Our goal is to get 200 demos and 20 purchase orders out of it.
We'll sell B1 for $200,000 per machine. We'll make our recurring revenue through our service contracts and consumables priced at $10,000 to $24,000 per year. At volume, we can achieve 80% gross margins. Now, we know everyone shows projections like these, but here's our little secret. Every company we've shown B1 to gets fired up. They see the value immediately and are just waiting for us to finish the product.
Now, Jason is our CEO and is a former NASA engineer who's won multiple grants.
Josh is our CTO. He's a former MIT startup engineer and built a motorcycle repair business. Our expert industry advisor is Eric Opstedal. He's the prefab director at Briggs Electric. We're bootstrapping, baby, and we'll break even after 2 founder-led sales. eMerge's $125,000 will help us with product, marketing, and sales. Now listen closely. We've built the prototype. We have customers lined up. The question isn't if the construction industry will automate. It's who will lead it.
And we are here to lead.
So join us or watch us.
Thank you.
Come see our 2-bender machine in action at booth SS76, and we'd love to take any questions from the judges.
Want to start?
Yeah, sure. Great pitch, clear need for it. Tell me other innovative ways where you can go out and sell this, because this seems very tedious and difficult to scale if you're just going out and trying to sell it to individual contractors. Can you sell it to some sort of equipment leasing agency where they essentially do that? I can't imagine that your entity is going to be sitting there selling direct to electrical engineers or electricians. So how can you essentially form some sort of middleman? Who would that be, and how would those sales be facilitated?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first thing that we're actually trying to do is also facilitate connections with rental agencies. So a lot of these heavy construction equipment gets rented out through different companies and can be used in multiple different times, especially when they're idle. So that is one way in which we'd expand and reach other markets.
Have you guys considered a model where, rather than renting it, you have someone show up on site and actually handle all the tube bending for the electrical contractor?
Sort of like a conduit as a service model.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's something that we've definitely considered. That's something that we want to do maybe down the line, but first we definitely want to focus on the machine sales themselves.
As far as fixing it, or great pitch first, as far as fixing it, like what's the maintenance cost on something like this? I saw what you guys are expecting, but to charge per year, but what are your expectations on what it's actually going to cost?
You can take it. Yeah, sure. Yeah, great question. So the expectations for what it will cost is around $40,000 in cost of goods sold. In terms of maintenance costs, we'll make 80% gross margins on the actual maintenance costs, and we'll sell our service contracts for $10,000 to $24,000 per year. Did that answer your question?
Good.
Oh, all right. Thank you all.
Thank you.